Okay. Versatile Vigilante, Young Vince, Uncle Vinny. We are in the artist studio today.
Yes, we are.
The one and only Hayley Axelrad.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I love this space. This is a very special location here.
Thank you, and thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure, man. I've seen you doing your thing, running around, honestly, with your paintings that you can obviously see right here. So you're someone I've been wanting to talk to, and I really appreciate you having me in your space here.
Of course.
Love that. So since it's our first time kind of meeting, I'd love to know a little bit about your backstory. Maybe start about where you grew up, and we can go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in a suburb outside of Toronto called Thornhill, in like a small Jewish community, very like insular. Really didn't know a lot of like non-Jewish people, which was like weird when I like left the bubble, you know. Yeah, just very much like a small town vibe where like everybody knows each other.
Right.
And yeah, I eventually left Thornhill, went to McGill University for I got a BA in art history. I really wanted to do like a bachelor's of fine arts. But my parents were like very against that. They were like, you're never gonna get a job. Which is like so fair, you know?
Yeah,
like
I feel like that's
scared.
a very common story for most artists.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I feel like everything I say, it's like, yeah, I've heard like a million other people say this, but like, it's true.
Yeah.
Nobody's parents like want them to be an artist. They want their kids to be like a successful artist.
Yeah,
but,
safe artist.
Yeah, but like a graphic designer is like fine, but not like a painter, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I got accepted to like the fine arts program at Queen's. Like I really wanted to go there. It was like a small program, and I was like last minute I was like, no, I'm gonna do like the safe thing, you know? And yeah, so I went to McGill. It was a good experience, like as far as just getting a BA went. Like I was happy to be like far from home. I really wanted to, you know, get out of the bubble that I mentioned. And yeah, I don't know. I just like it was good, but it was like it wasn't what I wanted to be doing ultimately, you know.
Sure.
And I found like in my program there was a lot of like pretentiousness around, like obviously, you know, around like, oh, like what does the painting mean?
Right.
And like just a lot of stuff where I was just like, I don't feel like I relate to a lot of people here and whatever. But eventually I left McGill, graduated, and started working in fashion. Like I was doing fashion styling. I like stayed in Montreal for a couple of years and was doing that, and it was great,
Right.
like for sure, but it still like wasn't like what I wanted to be doing. And then fast forward like a few years, and my dad passed away, and it was just like people talk about those moments of like everything in your life changes and like your priorities change and whatever, and that was really like truly one of those moments for me. And it had a lot to do with the fact that like my dad had been a dentist, and like as much as he like enjoyed being a dentist, he was a lot of the time like he wasn't like passionate about it, you know what I mean? Like he was really passionate about music.
Okay.
And he loved like singing and whatever, like music was just like his thing, but he was like too scared to do it. And he was always like, yeah, when I retire. And then like when he died, I was just like, okay, like anything can happen, and I need to just like do this thing now, you know?
Yeah.
So I ended up like moving back home with my mom and my sister, and we were like healing together and stuff, and started like painting on my own. And I was like I felt so isolated, and yeah, just like not having any artistic community was very difficult for me. I was like, I'm such an outsider, like I'm never gonna know anybody that is like in the scene, like, you know, like I'm sure you know the feeling,
100%.
like being outside of like a group of people that you're like, I'd love to be like
man.
part of this, you know. And yeah, I was just like struggling, and I was like, I know I want to do this, but like this is not the vibe. Like this is not working. So eventually, I I was like painting with acrylic paint. So I don't know if you know anything about like paint or like the difference between acrylic and
Not
oil.
really. I could tell when like it looks different, but in terms
honestly, a lot of people can't, and like you shouldn't really be able to. It's more like you like the feeling of using it is so different. Like if you're using acrylic, basically the main difference is acrylic just dries really fast, and oil can like you can use the next day, you know?
Painting 101.
Yeah. So basically, I was like, I really want to learn how to oil paint. And so I found the school that we are currently in. This is a school. The Academy of Realist Art. And I enrolled here. I was like, I found my people. Like, this is amazing. Like, I was learning how to paint and I just loved it so much. And basically, a couple years down the line of like learning this very like traditional method of painting, I was like, fuck it. Now I just want to like do my own thing and like use a lot of color and like make weird art.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing for a bit. Now, yeah, here we are.
I definitely relate to that because I feel like if you're gonna go down the path of being an artist, then let's go fully into it. Like
100%.
if we're being an artist to follow rules, I feel like that defeats the purpose.
That's the thing, and like that is definitely something that I have like struggled with because like yes, when you make like realist work, you're showing off your skill, you know, and like as like there will always be somebody who wants like a commission of their dog.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or their like grandchild.
Yeah.
But like, and like you can make money that way and it's great. But yeah, like taking the risk, doing something new, like doing something that will like stand out and like, I don't know, make people like feel something and just, yeah, I don't know. That is like, has been very rewarding to me for sure.
100%. Because you can't really quantify that feeling of when you do something where it's like, wow, this was my heart and soul into this.
100%, yeah. And it's pretty cool.
You can definitely see it. Like, obviously, we're surrounded by Hayley's work in here, and you have come up with something where it's like yours. Like, you have a signature already. Like, you have a style, and I don't know if you know how hard that is. I'm sure you do.
Oh my god,
it's
I
crazy.
really, really do know how hard that is. Like, that is like the number one thing that, like, when I talk to other artists, like when I was at the Artist Project, and like people were asking me about, like, I know how impossible it can seem when you are trying to like find your voice or find your own style. Like, you're just like, maybe I just don't have it, you know? But I feel like I really need to stress that like everybody has a voice and you just need to like keep going until you like figure out something that works. Like when I first started trying to like find my style or whatever, I was painting so differently. Like I was literally just like throwing everything at the wall and seeing what's stuck, you know? At first I was painting really thinly, so I was using like a lot of solvents to make the paint super thin, and then I was kind of like, it just had like such a different quality, and I would like get so frustrated with that. And then, I don't know, it like there were so many iterations of like, of my work, and yeah, like the only things that I knew were that like I wanted it to be very colorful. I wanted to depict people for the most part, and that I am personally drawn to work that is more like naive and that looks like it's more like intuitive and less like thought out, I
Right.
guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of just went with that.
I love it, man. Like talking
Thank
about
you.
your style with all the colors, especially because I noticed you had a few like pool
Yeah,
set
yeah.
around that. It gave me like kind of like a 50s, 60s
Yeah.
vibe. I don't know if you've ever watched Mad Men, but
Love Mad Men.
okay.
Yeah.
And the colors and the style, that's what hit me first. Where it's
Yeah,
like
thank
this could be
you.
like a Mad Men scene for sure.
Honestly, thank you. When people like, I've gotten so many like people just like understanding my work and like knowing that they understand it just through like the references that they'll make, like you saying Mad Men, or like
Right.
I've had people be like, it's very like someone said it was like the Royal Tenenbaums, like Woody Allen vibes,
something
or
like that.
sorry, Wes Anderson vibes, Woody Allen vibes, like David Lynch, like just like when people get the references,
If you know,
it makes
you
me
know.
happy. Yeah, exactly.
Are you a big film person?
I am, yeah. I love movies. I think that is probably where, like, I have this whole, like, aesthetic, like, dictionary, I guess, of,
Right.
like, references. I feel like a lot of it comes from that. And, like, yeah, like, movies and also, like, fashion. Like, when I was younger, I was really into fashion. I mean, I, like, did it as a career for a while, and yeah, I think ultimately I just really love like anything visual. Yeah.
I relate to that a lot because there's some film, especially me from probably more films than anything else,
Yeah.
where some of it just looks so crazy
I
that I'm like,
know.
how did they even do that?
I know.
You mentioned David Lynch. I just recently watched Mulholland Drive. You ever see
One
that
of my
one?
favorite movies, yeah.
Crazy, man. And
It's
like
insane.
the way it looks and the way you feel
know.
watching it, if I felt anxious, man. It
I
was this
know.
crazy feeling.
I know, and I love like David Lynch is like, if not my favorite director, like
He's the man.
very much up there. Yeah, he has said, this is what I really like about him. Like, I think he goes into it with like a mindset of like, this doesn't necessarily need to be like overtly meaningful. It can just be like almost like a vibe.
Yes.
And just enjoy that for what it is. And like that is really how I feel about art, you know? I don't like when, not that I don't like it, I don't relate to looking at a painting and having to like dissect every single like detail of it or be like, what's the symbolism? Like, I don't care. If I
Yes.
feel it, I feel it. If I'm drawn to it, like, that's it. That's all I need to connect with art.
Completely agree, man. And I think
Yeah.
that's what real true art is, because if you're making something for someone else, I don't think it can ever truly, like you were talking about at the beginning of the interview, like scratch that itch of,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like you can have a great time doing that, but you know there's something missing.
100%. Yeah. It's cool. Like, yeah, I don't know.
It is cool.
It's really satisfying.
It really is, man. And last thing on the David Lynch thing, I love him too. And
Yeah, let's just talk about David Lynch.
I'm down, bro. This is a David Lynch episode.
Yeah.
He's someone where, as I'm getting a little older, you know, doing my thing,
Yeah.
he's someone I definitely look at as inspiration of, he's probably gotten even more creative
Yeah.
in his
yeah.
later
He's
years.
super weird.
I love it, man.
I love it too.
Unapologetically himself.
100%. And like he is such a true creative. Like I think, don't quote me on this, but he like wears the same thing every day, eats the same thing every day. He's like, I just want to be able, and like meditates for like,
Yeah.
like he does like transcendental meditation and stuff. Like he is like, I need to just be able to be the most like creative that I can possibly be. I don't want to have to think about like what I'm gonna eat today.
Yes.
Like that's an insane level of commitment.
He is, man. He's actually got some like real hidden gems on YouTube of him just talking.
I know.
And it's fucking awesome,
I
man.
know.
There was one where he was talking about how like with depression, like a lot of the time you just have to keep making the art, like you have to keep
Yeah.
going. He said it way better than I just said it, but
I
it was
love
really
that.
it was really cool to hear, because obviously he deals with things that every other human deals with.
Yeah.
And that makes you feel like, wow.
He has figured out a way to kind of work through it. And that, yeah, like that is such a good point. I have the same sort of philosophy. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I have artist block. Like, I'm not gonna try to make work today, or I'm gonna wait for like the inspiration to strike. Like, for me, that's why I really love doing like the small paintings that I do, like the 8x10s, because it's very like non-committal, you know? Like, I can just be like, hey, I'm gonna do this. If it looks like shit, like, it doesn't matter. I'm just like, you have to keep going and getting the ideas out, and eventually you're gonna make something you like again, you know?
Absolutely. Again, you're saying a lot of stuff I'm relating to, because
Okay, cool.
you kind of have to make a mess in a way.
100%. Look at my studio. It's a mess. And this is the cleanest it gets.
I love it, man. I love it. This is an inspiring mess. And I wouldn't even call it a mess. This is
it's like organized chaos.
Organized chaos. I like that a lot. But you're absolutely right, because you have to experiment. You have to give yourself a chance.
100%.
And I like that you're willing to do that, because it takes balls, for lack of a better term.
It's really hard, because also, like, I think I genuinely do think every single artist is like extremely hard on themselves.
For sure.
I think like every person is very hard on themselves, but like obviously when you're making artwork, like, it's a very vulnerable thing, you know, so you're gonna be extra hard on yourself, because you're like, okay, I guess like I can't do better than this, you know, like I'm really giving it my all. And I don't remember where I was going with that, but that's it.
No, I definitely feel you, man.
Yeah.
It's just you got to put yourself out there in whatever you do.
Yeah, 100%.
I think so we've talked about where you started to really honing in on your style.
Yeah.
You are now selling paintings. You're going to galleries. You're hosting galleries. What was kind of the first experience of where you maybe sold a painting or had a gallery experience that really got you going?
Yeah, I think so. When I like the very first moment that I was like selling, like, I've always done like commissions for people of like the more realist work, you know, like the pet portraits and whatever, that stuff. And I still do that a bit because it is lucrative, but I just started posting some of my stuff on Instagram, and then like some people, and like I was so shy about it, you know, because like when you're just starting, it's just like, I'm so weird, like what am I doing?
Yeah, you gotta build it,
you know, you have to build the confidence and whatever. And yeah, like a few people bought the paintings that I was posting just like on Instagram. People I knew, but like some people that I knew like peripherally, or like an ex-boyfriend who had like no stake in buying my painting. Like, he obviously that's like huge. Wanted it, you know.
That's a very good measure.
Yeah, stuff like that. So I was like, okay, like people are liking it. And then I was like, again, like I just felt so like disconnected from like the art world, and I felt like there's no way I'm gonna like break into this. And my friend sent me like there's this girl on Instagram called Girl New York. She is really cool. I know her now. Love her. She's great. And she was hosting, like in New York, like a show. She's like a tattoo artist, but she had like a gallery space in New York for a year or two, or maybe longer. And so she was having like a group show. My friend sent me the like application for the show, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get into this, you know, whatever. I applied, and like I got in, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I like drove down to New York. I had like a bunch of paintings in the show. Like there were like a bunch of small ones and like a big one, and it was just like such a good experience. And it was the first time that I had seen people like interact with my work, which is, it's like it can be like a really good thing or like a really scary thing, you know, or like a bad thing, right, if you see someone
kind of
like
getting reviewed in real time.
Yeah, and like people don't know who you are. I've never had like a truly bad experience with that, but like I'll definitely read into things that I see, you know. And basically, yeah, that was like such a great experience, and I was like, I did this art show in New York. It was so exciting. And then after that, I think that kind of like lit a fire in me, but I hadn't really like fully found my style yet. So then it just like kept evolving, and then it was like a high, and then I was like kind of depressed because I'm like, is this gonna happen again, or was it a fluke? And like my work doesn't really look like that anymore, you know? And then eventually I figured out what I wanted my work to look like. Put together a website, did the whole thing, started like applying to like a lot of stuff. Like I would just go on these websites that have like all the opportunities for like shows and whatever, and I would like apply, and then I would email like galleries, and like I was so naive. Like I was expecting everyone to answer me, you know? Like nobody answered me. A few people did, and they're nice, and like I still am in contact with them and whatever. But yeah, it was just like a bit of a reality check. Like I literally, even though sometimes most of the time I'm very critical of myself, I also like go into things with such high expectations. I'm like, okay, everybody's gonna answer my email, you know? But whatever, ended up that I sent an email to Tacit Collective. Do you know what that is in Toronto?
Don't believe so.
Yeah, it's like a run by this amazing woman, Nuria. She is an angel, and she's a boss, and yeah, it's like an online gallery for people kind of all over the world, but like a lot of, like, she's based in Toronto. It's a lot of Toronto artists, and it's a women only gallery, and she like gave me a chance and was like, yeah, I want to like put some of your pieces on the website, whatever. So that ended up going really well, and like getting my name out there a bit more in like the Toronto scene, I guess. And yeah, I still like sell work through her. I've sold a ton of pieces with her. And then more opportunities started coming, just like, I don't know, like when I put myself out there on Instagram, I don't know, I just think like you get what you put out, and I just was and am like so hungry, like taking every opportunity, like networking, emailing everyone, DMing everyone, just like doing whatever it took to like get my foot in the door of like different places, making connections, and definitely like not anywhere close where like to like where I want to be, but I've come a long way in like a year or so of like doing this.
You've only been doing this for a year?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh my god.
I know.
Because I noticed, I was kind of creeping your IG preparing for the interview, and I noticed at the end of 2023 you made a post of like, these last 6 months have been crazy. And I was thinking, I'm like, these last 6 months, man, you listed like 10 things and they're all crazy. So man, that's inspiring, because I like what you said, where it's kind of like you got to put yourself out there, get the ball rolling.
100%.
Once it's rolling, things happen. You got to kind of, as cliche as it sounds, trust the universe once you put yourself out there.
And I like literally, like, art is such an unstable thing, you know. It's not the type of thing, obviously, where you're gonna like get an accounting degree and you're gonna like be an accountant.
That's not a straight line.
Yeah. And so like, and that was like so hard for me to deal with. Like I would literally just sit in my room and feel like how can I just like have like faith and like take this leap, you know? Like I got into like manifestation and like stuff like that, just to kind of like believe in something and like be able to like stay the course, you know, and not like you really just have to like be delusional and be like, okay, there's nothing here right now, but like if anyone can build something, like why can't I, you know? And the best advice that I've gotten from like another artist has been like, being a painter is just like having any other business. You have like a physical product to sell, you know, and like I think you could sell anything to anyone really, like with the right marketing, so why shouldn't you be able to sell paintings?
Absolutely right, man. And
Yeah.
I love the point you touched on, because I've been really thinking about this myself, of staying the course, because it's
Yeah.
like sometimes it gets so tempting to just change everything,
Oh
and
my
you're like,
God.
no, man, I've gotten a long way with this. You can't just, you can make adjustments, but to just scrap it, and
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think staying the course is a very underrated tactic, because it
I
takes
think
patience.
so too, exactly. And like also, yeah, I think the reason that, and like obviously there's so many factors, you know, there's so many reasons that like people don't make it or whatever, but the number one reason I'd have to imagine would be like people just giving up,
100%.
you know, when it gets scary. And yeah, I'm not going to. So.
No, exactly, man. If you give up, you know the result.
Exactly.
It's nothing.
Exactly.
If you keep going, you
so
never
you might
know.
as well take the chance.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I first heard of you. I first heard of Hayley through She Said Gallery, which is a very, very special place in Toronto. I threw an event in December, and it ended up being the day before Hayley threw an event.
Yeah, and I wish I'd known, because I would have come.
Next one.
Yeah.
First, not last.
Yeah.
How did that go, first of all? First of all, she said watch our old videos and shit. It's a laundromat on Roncesvalles.
It's really cool.
Shout out to Jill, the real legend. And it's a fully functioning laundromat. And she lets us put art and really damn near fuck it up for the sake of creating.
It's so sick. So basically I think I'd seen it on Instagram, and I was like, oh, what is this? Looks cool, whatever. And then someone that I know, this girl Kat, is sort of like an independent curator / artist, and she was, I guess, like had a bit of like a residency there as a curator, and was getting people to like put on shows and stuff. And she like DM'd me and was like, do you want to have a solo show here? And I was like, 100%. Yep. Like, solo show, that's so cool, whatever. I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, yeah. And I was obviously so excited, and I just like did everything for it. Like, first you do everything for it. Like, you install everything yourself. You again, like, you get out of it what you put in.
Yes.
So I literally treated it like it was, I don't know, like
some official
my
shit.
Wedding.
Yeah, man. I saw you had the drinks.
Yeah, like, I literally messaged if anyone is listening to this with a beverage company in Toronto, I promise I've spoken to you. Like, I literally messaged everyone, got sponsors for like 3 different drink companies, had like cute flower arrangements, like just like put a lot into the details, like invited everyone I knew, and then like met Jill, the owner, and was like, this is an actual like angel on earth, like I'm obsessed with her. And since then we've just had like such a nice relationship. Like, I've seen her a bunch at like different shows and whatever, and like we really keep in touch. And she bought 2 pieces from me also, like at the show, which was cool. And it's just like, it's cool. Like, she is a person that like truly supports artists, you know? Like, 100%. She's not, there's no hidden like gimmick or cost or whatever. Like, she doesn't even take a percentage. Like, it's just very, she's just cool. She's great.
Honestly, man, I think she's probably the realest person I've ever met. Like, I won't even lie.
I think so too. She's an angel. And yeah, so that was just like such a good experience. Yeah. No,
it looks super sick, man. And
thank you.
Definitely keep me posted on future galleries you throw.
Yeah, for sure.
And you mentioned like kind of being part of a scene, or at least being accepted, and people like Jill and like the She Said vibes.
Yeah.
To me, that's such a sick scene, because it's almost not a scene.
100%.
Like, it's literally individuals, but everyone's pretty cool. Like, I've been to other galleries, I've been to other shows that She Said, and it's always cool people. Like, it's one of those places again, if you know type
Yeah.
place.
100%. And like
That.
it's definitely like growing a lot. Like she's been
Yeah.
getting press and whatever. And yeah, it's really great. And it was just like such a funny experience because like you plan the whole thing, you make it like so beautiful. And then like ultimately there's gonna be like some guy there just like doing his laundry.
Yeah, literally, man.
And like you're just like, oh yeah, this is
and that's kind of
also
part,
a laundromat.
that's part of it.
It's
That's
amazing.
part of it. There was like probably a homeless lady in there just like rolling up her weed in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like this. I fuck with it, you know. This is what you sign up for.
I think it's great. Everyone there like gave them beers, like they were part of it. It was just,
it's awesome, man.
It was fun.
Yeah, shout out to Jill. Big shout out. I probably would not have met you without her. So
there you go.
Again, the universe.
She said bringing people together.
100%, man. So you were also part of ArtistProjectTO.
ArtistProject, yeah.
That's a very big event.
That was a very big event. It was
that exhibition?
It's at the Better Living Center.
Right.
So yeah, like near the X. It's very intense. So basically, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's like an art fair, but every artist, it's not like usually at an art fair it would be like galleries each have a booth. Like there's something in Toronto called Art Toronto.
Yeah.
And it's like every gallery in Toronto or others in Canada, a few like outside of Canada, but for the artist project, it's like each individual artist, like you have to apply, you have to get in, and then you have to pay to do it. And it's not cheap, but you do like, you get out of it what you put into it. And that's the theme.
Yes, that is
that's
a great
the theme of today. But you get a lot of exposure. Like everybody kind of like there's a few art fairs like that throughout the year in Toronto. I think they're mostly in the spring and summer, but I think the Artist Project is really like the biggest one.
Yeah, it's massive. I went to one year. It was very big. Thousands
really
of
great.
people.
Yeah, definitely thousands of people, and a lot of like gallerists go, and interior designers and like serious art collectors, you know. But then there's also like a lot of people who are just like, oh, I didn't know what to do like on this Saturday. Like I'm just gonna wander through, you know. So it's really a big mix. I definitely went into it like very. At first I like wasn't even gonna do it, and then last minute I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I don't know why, like I guess because it was expensive, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready yet, like this is kind of like my first year of doing this, like maybe I should wait, but I was like, no, whatever. And I was really nervous because it's like, not only is it like the financial investment, but it's also, you're really like putting yourself out there. Like if, like, yeah, I can get a response from my like few thousand like Instagram followers, but that isn't really like an accurate like sample of the population, you know?
Right.
So really like having complete strangers who owe me nothing evaluating my work and kind of like pretending I'm not standing there is like intimidating.
Right. Yeah, it is kind of an awkward.
Yeah.
It is a little awkward.
For sure. I definitely felt the vibe of like when people walk into like a clothing store and they like pretend the sales associate isn't there, you know?
Yeah.
So that took some getting used to. Ultimately, it was a great experience, and like I made a ton of connections, like sold some work, which was great, and yeah, just like the exposure was so good. It's already led to things like percolating, but like who knows even down the line, you know, what will come from it. And yeah, but would I do it again? I don't know.
Okay.
It was like a lot. And
that's a very real too, where not everything you do is something you're going to do for life. Like
100%.
Sometimes it's a one and done. It is what
100%.
it is, but it's better do it that once.
Exactly.
Than nuns.
The nuts.
You know?
I like honestly it was something that I was like, I'm gonna do this at least like once.
For sure.
And so I did it, and it's just so much work. Like, and not that I like don't want to work, but like maybe I'd rather put that work into like having a solo show at like a gallery where like they can do more of the like backside of things, you know?
Absolutely. There's never gonna be a time where you're not learning.
Yeah.
Like there's
100%.
like man, I think the further you go, you kind of touched on it earlier too, where it's like I achieved this and now what type thing, and that's something you kind of learn too, where it's like, oh, I achieved this, and that doesn't mean now I'm at the top of the mountain. It means there's like, more steps.
Okay, and what's
like it
next?
It never ends.
Yeah, for sure. And like the high of like achieving that thing only lasts for so long, you know? So kind of like gotta keep going.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance of like staying in the moment and enjoying what you're doing, appreciating what you've done, but also not getting caught up
to the next thing. Exactly. Yeah. And like even like after the artist project, I didn't want to like have anything lined up afterwards because I wanted to sort of like keep my options open for like what was going to come out of it. And I was just like, it was like such a kind of like coming back down to earth.
Yep.
And like it took me a while. Like I just felt so, first of all, just like so drained, so exhausted, but also just like, okay, what now? Like I've spent so much time. I've put so much time into just like this one big event, and now I'm just like floating. And like I'm just gonna start like making paintings for like I don't know what. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. It kind of reminds me of like the Christmas feeling, like
exactly.
Those weeks leading up to Christmas, 100%. All about Christmas, and then you're done.
Yeah, literally, like before the artist project, I said to my therapist, like, "Hey, I'm like making an appointment like the Monday after because I know I'm gonna be depressed." Talk about. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Is this process for you, the painting process, is it very much like I'm by myself? Like, you have a routine when it comes to the actual what you do?
Sort of. Like, well, I definitely have a routine. Like, I come in every day around like 10. I'll stay till, I don't know. It really depends. I used to stay all the time till 9 p.m. because basically, like, I was going off of my old school schedule, which is like the school would start at 10 and then end at 9 because we'd have like a lot of figure drawing classes and stuff. More recently, I'll probably leave like earlier than 9. And basically, even if I don't want to, I'll just sit down in front of the canvas and like force myself to paint. I'll start by obviously like figuring out what I want to paint and then just making like a color palette that I like and then just going for it. But definitely every day like looks a little bit different. Like I'll like some days I'll come in and just like apply for stuff or like answer emails or work on my website or whatever. And then some days I'll come in and be like, no, today I'm like painting the whole day. Or some days I'll come in wanting to paint the whole day and then I'll end up like falling asleep on my couch, you know? Like it really just depends, but every day I definitely like force myself to be here. Even if I don't want, not every day, like 5 days a week, like a normal person.
Love that.
Like I treat it like a job, you know?
Yes.
It is a job, but yeah, and I love that like my studio is here with like, you know, a community of people that I know, and like my boyfriend is a student here, and just like there's really great people around, so if I am, I don't know, if I need to talk to anyone, like there's people, so you know.
Yeah, this is not like a shed in the forest.
Exactly.
In the middle of the forest.
Yeah. Which I don't think I'd be able to deal with that. Like I definitely need. I'm not a person who will like sit in silence. Like even when I'm alone, obviously it's a lot, but like I will be listening to a podcast usually, or honestly usually a podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Nice. What's your favorite one at the moment? Other than Versatile Vigilante.
Yeah, obviously this one, but I really have loved for a long time Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard.
I know who he is. Yeah. He got super jacked all of a sudden.
Yeah, he definitely is jacked. and talks about that a lot.
Yeah, okay. I could imagine, man. I saw him on some commercial recently. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
He looks
for
completely
sure.
different.
Yeah, he looks great. I love him. Like, I've listened to his podcast for a really long time. He, like, interviews sometimes celebrities and then sometimes, like, experts in their field. So, like, scientists or whatever. Just, like, very interesting people. And then, I don't know. It's just great. And then, other than that, I listen to, like, some pretty trashy podcasts, like
Love that.
Bravo, like Real Housewives, and like other reality TV shows podcasts, and yeah, just like stupid shit, mindless.
I love that you said that because, you know, you can go from watching David Lynch and like these other super intense, but then I love Jersey Shore. I'm not sure, like there's a place for that too, you know. And
high low.
It's really true because like something you've obviously heard of the stereotypes of like the artists that you know, like the super, you
like
know,
take themselves very
seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't need to.
100%. Like there are definitely people, a lot of people in the art world that are like that. Like take themselves seriously and are in watching Housewives and stuff. And like honestly, I used to be like more like that. Like I remember when I was younger and like angsty and like trying to be cool, and I was like, like I only, you know, watch like Paul Thomas Anderson movies, and like I would never watch Housewives. Like I used to like look down on it, and then I don't know what changed. I stopped taking myself so seriously, and I was just like, no, you need like some stupid shit in your life or you go crazy, I think
you're absolutely right, man. And also it's like a day can be so stressful. Yeah. And I think sometimes if unwinding is something where it's like I don't have to use my brain, I could just kind of enjoy this. 100%. There's nothing wrong with that, man. I don't think you have to be challenging yourself every minute of every day.
I agree. Like you're just gonna burn out. And honestly, a lot of smart people watch Housewives.
Hell yeah, bro. I mean,
Rihanna.
Man. Oh, Rihanna's a Housewives fan?
Rihanna loves it.
She's doing okay.
She's doing great. So let's all be a little more like Rihanna and
real shit,
watch
man.
Housewives.
Because I think it comes to we've talked about it a bit already of like, why am I going to be in a creative setting and now following rules or like highbrow, and even like at some galleries or some like other events, shows, whatever, where it's like, bro, this is not even really that good of a time because it feels like I'm in school stuffy. Damn near.
I know. I really get that. And I never want to like create that feeling or atmosphere with my work. You know, I always want it to feel like fun and accessible and like, you know,
and
light
I think
enough.
It certainly conveys that, man. I mean, I keep glancing at your stuff here, like big ass paintings here. I love it, man. Also, I saw you posted one recently. It's somewhere on here I've seen already where you labeled it as like mob wife aesthetic.
Oh, yeah.
and that's super in right now. Yeah. You know, so your style very versatile to where it looks like yours, but it looks completely different than other stuff you've done.
Like I mean, I obviously get inspiration from like what's going on, and like even you know the movie Challengers that just came out with like with Zendaya?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I didn't see it, but I heard of it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm working on like a tennis painting. Like behind you, I was doing like a little sketch. It's there on the desk.
Okay. So
yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And yeah, so that like inspired me to do like a tennis painting, and
I like that.
Yeah, I think, you know, how could like life not seep into the work?
You're onto something, man. I'm very, very I'm very inspired by the stuff you've done in such a short amount of time. Very, very cool, man.
I mean, honestly, if you just bug enough people, eventually they cave.
It's true. you know, it's interesting, man, because I have a similar strategy for my shit. Like, I essentially bugged you to do this interview, and it works. Yeah. But you made a great point of, like, you got to sell what you're doing. And everyone's a salesperson, especially if they're doing their own little business or.
You definitely need to be a salesperson. Like I said before, it's like any business. Like you do have to, unless like a gallery or someone is doing it for you, you need to be able to market yourself.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So we're approaching about an hour. Time flies.
It really does.
I wanted to ask you one more thing, though. I noticed again, I think it was in that same post that I referenced.
Yeah.
You have an Iceland?
Yes. Okay.
Something coming
that is tentative.
Okay.
We'll see, because I did commit to that, and I am 99% sure that I'm not doing that anymore, because basically I just got accepted to another residency that's in LA.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't want to go to Iceland, but the LA opportunity is very like aligned with the work that I make and like the people I want to be around and whatever. So I think I'm going to go with that, but it's not 100% confirmed yet, so I don't want to say any names of any places, but yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Have you been to LA before?
I have, yeah.
You like it out there?
I really do. And like, I mean, I don't know that I'd live there, but they have like a very cool art scene, and it's definitely like, it's not up and coming. It's like, it's here. It's like, yeah, it's like very, very cool.
Yeah, LA's dope, man. I went there recently, and it was not too long after watching Mulholland Drive, and I saw some of the kind of grimier sides of the city, and I'm like, man, I could kind of see what he was showing in that film, where it's like so much opportunity and so much of the opposite.
I know.
And it's
like
very
the
interesting.
Dark, like underbelly that you don't see, but like, yeah, it is so. It is so interesting to like see that in like movies and TV and whatever, and like
and I feel see it a bit in your work, man, where it's very bright, and I could tell there's some darkness underneath it too.
100%, yes, 1,000,000%. Like I like to make scenes that like at first glance they look very bright and colorful and cheerful, but then like you look at the people and there's this like sense of uneasiness and awkwardness and just like real life emotion that isn't this like fake colorful world, you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
I like it a lot, man. I really like what you're doing.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Again, we were on a movie talk. What have your favorite films in the last little while been? You mentioned Challengers,
or even I love Challengers
in your personal canon in
my life. Okay, I like somewhat recently watched Old Boy, if you know what that is.
The American one or the
Korean or Japanese?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's intense.
Insane. I love it. I love like a psychological thriller that like borders a bit more on horror. Like Midsummer is like one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I when I watched Midsummer for the first time, I like watched it on my laptop. I was like in a bad place.
That was a very intense film.
Very intense. And like I watched it on my laptop, and then I literally like as the credits were rolling just like went back to the beginning and like watched it all the way through again.
You're tough, man.
Yeah. So I love that. I loved Saltburn.
I haven't seen Saltburn.
Oh my god, I loved it. What else? Like I'll just say like my favorite directors. Like I love Woody Allen, even though he's problematic. I don't support him as a person, but I love his movies. I love Wes Anderson so much. I love Paul Thomas Anderson and David Lynch, obviously. I don't know, what else?
Have you ever seen Buffalo 66?
Yeah, I love Buffalo 66. Okay. Yeah,
love that. Cool. That's one of my like. If you watched it, you're a real one.
Yeah.
Love that one,
really
man.
Cool. Paris, Texas.
I haven't seen that one.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's really good. I don't know. Do you have Letterboxd?
I do.
We'll become friends on Letterboxd.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
That's where I organize all my movie
I like that app. I'm like not an app guy, but I like that app. First of all, not that I like need help with this, but it makes you want to watch movies more because you're like you want to like add them to your list. And there's so many.
I know, and yeah, I love movies so much. Oh, I also really love I love all the James Bond movies too. big James Bond
There's
fan.
some great ones, man. I watched one of the older ones a few years back. It was fucking awesome.
It's amazing, and like I love like the aesthetic.
Super
obviously, cool. Like it's so cool with like
Slick
the martinis and like cigarettes and like I just love that stuff.
I noticed you got that in your, cigarette and martini, again, very Mad Men-ish. Yeah. And it just works.
I love that aesthetic.
It's a super vibe, man. There's certain things where I'm like, yeah, this is not healthy at all.
I know.
But it's so sick.
I know. Like, I used to be a smoker. I love smoking. Like, it is my passion. Like, I love nicotine so much. But it's obviously so bad for you, so I quit. But I think I, like, just love making the people in my paintings smoke. Because I'm like, I wish I could smoke.
It adds something.
It's just cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. People can try to, like, say it's not cool as much as they want. It's cool.
It's one of those things, like, health is the main reason why you wouldn't do it. If it wasn't bad for you,
exactly,
you're gonna smoke.
Exactly. Like I always say, if I was given like one day to live, I would just like run to the gas station, buy like 10 packs of cigarettes, and then like hang out with my like family and friends and like smoke.
I love that, man. That's actually a good plan.
It's a great plan.
I support it, man. I support it. Bro, really, I really enjoyed this conversation, Hayley. This was awesome.
It was so
Is there anything you'd like to talk about or promote or anything going on in the near future?
Honestly, nothing concrete right now, but like follow me on Instagram. It's just my name, Hayley Axelrad, and buy my paintings if you want, and that's it. And yeah, look out for shows and whatever.
100%. Your name also works perfectly as an artist.
Thank you.
It's a very strong name.
I know, people have asked me if it's like a stage name. I'm like, no, that would be weird. I'm not like an actress.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
It's very meant to be.
I think so.
Man, I really appreciate it, Hayley. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Follow Hayley Axelrad. Yeah. Shout out everyone doing their thing. Shout out to Jill. She said gallery.
Love you, Jill.
Versatile Vigilante. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Let's fucking get it, man.
Yeah.